Hi, everybody. I'm Peter Skiera, aka Stations Guy, and my guest on today's show is Crazy Eddie. Well, not really Crazy Eddie, but the subject is Crazy Eddie. And the reason this came up was because last year, several months ago, I did a video, a show on the vintage Sony PS-F5 portable turntable. And it was purchased, the original buyer bought it at a Crazy Eddie store. How do I know this? Because it came with the original receipt. And it was purchased at the 269 Route 18 East Brunswick, New Jersey store. And I also know this because I also have the original shopping bag that it came in. So that's how I knew. And I also showed you at that time in that video this very rare item, a Crazy Eddie Flexi disc with a song on it. This plays at 33 1/3. And it's made by the famous Eva-Tone company that did a lot of flexi discs. And I couldn't play it at that time because the Sony didn't support playing flexi discs. You'd put the tone arm on it. You couldn't put the tone arm on it. The way it was shaped, it just wasn't going to work. It was really meant for, a real LP or a 45. But I said I would play it at some point in the future. So here we are, many months later. And I'm going to play it on today's show. I don't have an actual, real home turntable because I'm very space challenged here. So I'm going to play it on my Audio-Technica Soundburger, which I've also done a video on. But it also doesn't support playing flexi discs. You'd put the tone arm on it and the disc would just flop over. So what I did was I cut out a thin piece of cardboard to match this size and punched a hole in the middle of it, put it on the spindle on the Soundburger, then put the flexi disc on top of that, and then played it. There's a little bit of wow and flutter issues there you're going to hear, but you'll get the idea. You'll be able to hear the song from start to finish. And so I'm going to do that a little bit later. Right now, though, what I want to do is talk a little bit about Crazy Eddies for those of you who aren't that familiar. I grew up in Rhode Island. Not Long Island, Rhode Island. It's an actual state. So I was familiar with Crazy Eddies. I knew their advertising, seen it in newspapers, but their stores were mainly in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. So it wasn't like it was just a short trip down the road to go to one. So I had never been to one, but I was certainly familiar with them. And they, at their height, they had something like 43 stores. And they were very well known and very well known for their prices. The guy who did the television advertising, his name was Jerry Carroll. He was a local DJ in New York, and he, sort of acted kind of crazy. He'd scream and yell and throw things up in the air and whatever. So he represented the company quite well. A lot of people thought he was Crazy Eddie, the guy who owned the company. He was not. He was Jerry Carroll. So he did these commercials. He did something like over 7,000 television commercials. He died, unfortunately, a few years ago in 2020. But the guy who was Crazy Eddie, who started Crazy Eddie, was Eddie Antar. And he started it in 1969 in New York. And as I said, they later expanded to New Jersey, Connecticut. He brought the company public in 1984. And the shares started at $8, and within 2 years they were up to $75, and actually have an original, authentic Crazy Eddie stock certificate here. And no, I did not buy stock in Crazy Eddies, thankfully, but this company that did, unfortunately, bought 10,000 shares, so they really got soaked. And by November of 1989, all the stores were gone. The company was gone. They didn't exist anymore. Everything was liquidated. That was the end of Crazy Eddies. There have been some attempts since then, a few years after, to do a revival. Those were not successful. Eddie Antar actually got involved and tried to do a revival, a web revival, but certainly nothing along the lines of the success of the store in the 80s. Antar was convicted of massive fraud in 1997, sentenced to 8 years in prison. He only served 2, and then he ended up dying at the age of 68 in 2016. He was actually convicted twice. The first time it was overturned, and then he was convicted again. He fled the country to Israel and was extradited back to the United States. It's a really fascinating story. If you don't know much about it or anything about it, you should really look into it, because I'm not going to go through the whole thing here, but very interesting story. It would make a great movie. I'm surprised no one's made a movie of this yet, because it would make a fantastic movie. So anyway, that gives you a little bit of background of Jerry Carroll, Eddie Antar, Crazy Eddies. Crazy Eddies did a lot of marketing, promotion with the public, giveaways. A lot of Crazy Eddie crap was made, and so much so I actually had to write down a list of the things, and these are just the ones I'm aware of. There's probably a lot of other stuff that I don't even know about, but there were T-shirts, of course, lots and lots of T-shirts. This is an authentic, original Crazy Eddie T-shirt, not a reproduction. It's actually a real Crazy Eddie T-shirt. There were balloons. There were pin-on buttons. They advertised on matchbook covers, as well as, obviously, in the newspaper, television, radio. Cameras, camera straps, Frisbees, and most of these things were in the trademark bright yellow with black print. T-shirts, as I mentioned. Hats and caps, inner record sleeves even. They had their own record section called the Asylum, and they sold tapes, records, and CDs. The employees had business cards. There were Velcro wallets. There were playing cards, plastic keychains, the Flexi discs, and also bandanas, which I have one here. Once again, a very rare item, an original Crazy Eddie bandana. And as far as I can tell, these were not given out to the public. These were for employees only, at least the very few that I've seen, including this one that I have. The backstory was that it was worn by a Crazy Eddie employee. So now maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was given out to the public, or the public, they were able to get some, but pretty hard to find. Another thing that's very hard to find, I don't think I've ever seen this on eBay. Crazy Eddie branded cassette tape. And there's actually some halfway decent songs on here. There's, let's see, we've got Take the A Train by Duke Ellington, 1 O'Clock Jump, Count Basie, Sweet Little 16, Chuck Berry, 25 or 624, Chicago, Fool in Love, Ike and Tina Turner. So some halfway decent songs. This is really hard to come by. It's also hard to come by this cover intact, because if you look here on the corner, the cover doubles as a coupon. So you could bring the cover in, or I guess you could just cut it with scissors. It says here, $1 off any record, tape, or compact disc. So this is hard to find originally anyway, but to get the cover as well is pretty cool. So that's really neat. So that gives you an idea of the company and the backstory and so on. What I'm going to do now is play this Flexi disc for you. I'm assuming there's no copyright issues. There's nothing here that I can see that says anything about a copyright. It's a song from a television commercial, which the company doesn't exist anymore. The commercials don't play anymore. So I'm assuming I'm good to go to play this. No big deal. You can go on YouTube and see the actual commercial. It's kind of funny. It's got I think it's 5 guys in leather jackets, because it's a doo-wop song, but they're in a public men's room for some reason, I guess for the acoustics, but yet there's really no echo or reverb on the recording that I can hear. So that's kind of weird. The other thing that's kind of funny to me is the mouthing job that they did with the song, to the song, is not very good. It's pretty obvious that they're just, not really singing this, so it's kind of funny. But I'm going to play this for you now. I'm playing it through a Bluetooth speaker because the Soundburger doesn't have a built-in speaker. And then I will come back after that and do a wrap-up. So I hope you enjoy this, and let's roll it.
Oh, when you think you're ready, go down to Crazy Eddie, the man who's got most everything. His stereo sound, his audio selection, will be with your perfection. He's the man with all the lowest prices around. So come on down and put it to the test. See whose prices really are the best. We'll fix you up with a sound that fits your best. And guarantee a smile upon your face. When you think you're ready, down to Crazy Eddie, the man who's got most everything, stereo sound. And so the story's told across the whole wide world. Crazy Eddie will not ever be undersold.
So I hope you enjoyed that. I love original vintage stuff, and that's just really, really cool. And I miss Crazy Eddies, and I miss the commercials. And so I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to end with a little segment. Sometimes I do dress up, and so I'm going to end with that. Please share the video. If you like this, you like any of my videos, share it. I'm trying to, obviously, I'm a new channel. I'm trying to build up, some audience here. Like the video, leave some positive comments, subscribe if you would, especially subscribe. There are certain features I can take advantage of as a YouTube creator, but only if I have so many subscribers and views. So the more I can get, the better that I'll be able to do these videos for you. So thanks so much for watching, and be kind to each other, and we'll see you next time. Roll it.
It's a Crazy Eddie blowout blitz. Crazy Eddie's is not playing with a full deck because he's practically giving away TVs, VCRs, microwave ovens, stereo rack systems, video camcorders, and everything else in home entertainment, and lots of appliances too. Remember, we are not undersold. We will not be undersold. We cannot be undersold. We mean it. It's a Crazy Eddie blowout blitz. Crazy Eddie's is going nuts with the lowest sale prices ever. See Crazy Eddie now. His blowout blitz prices are insane.